Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second Four Corners podcast. My name's Colin.
Scott.
Steven.
Zach.
Thank you, Scott, for saving that one, because I looked at Steven, and for the second week in a row, he sat there and went,
I didn't even see you look at me, alright? So
it's because you're looking over there.
Shut up.
All right, what we got on the schedule for today, Colin?
All right, well, we just got done watching the Royal Rumble, and I think it's very fair that we go back into that, because we were going to start ranting about it, and then I had to shut everybody the fuck up so we could talk about it.
No. I was ranting about it. Everybody else shut the fuck up.
All right, Steven, you go ahead, because you have the biggest bitch here already.
I guess my biggest thing is, like, you have this first annual Royal Rumble for the women's. As far as the whole pay-per-view as a whole, I highly enjoyed it. We all are going to get a WrestleMania match, at least in my eyes, I've been wanting to see, with Shinsuke and AJ Styles more than likely.
Spoilers, by the way.
Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. But continuing on to the Women's Rumble, you've got this first annual thing happening. It should have been a big thing, and it was in terms of it. But at the very end of it, I feel like Asuka got...
Shit on?
No, I want to say pushed to the side, if that makes any sense.
It
No,
definitely
it does.
felt she got overshadowed. Ronda comes out, and then all of a sudden it's no longer what's Asuka going to do. It's, holy shit, Ronda's here.
Yeah.
So what's Ronda going to do when she gets in the ring? Not what is Asuka going to pick after Asuka just made history and was the first ever women's Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty sure, spoilers again, that we're going to get Asuka and Ronda at WrestleMania, which is not a bad match. I'm actually okay with it. The problem is, I see this going a lot like Lesnar and Undertaker, where Lesnar ended the streak with the Undertaker, and now it's Asuka's streak is going to end at the hands of Ronda Rousey, which Ronda Rousey does not need to be put over. Neither does Asuka, really, but, I mean, both of them are very much over. We saw it when Asuka won and when Ronda came out. This also paints what are we going to do as far as title opportunities. Who's Alexa going to face? Who's Charlotte going to face? Because apparently they're not facing who we thought they were going to face. So.
Well, and that's the problem. What was the point then of putting Asuka over in the Rumble, in the match itself, and giving her that opportunity if Vince is just going to say, well, let's flip this completely and let's just go Ronda and Asuka at WrestleMania? What was the point of even letting Asuka win the Rumble?
They should have had Asuka win the
There's
title.
no point.
They should have had Asuka win the title off Alexa and put Alexa in the match and then have somebody else win it.
But here's the thing, though. My own personal belief, and if I'm wrong, then, hey, I'm wrong, was I believe that Asuka was supposed to beat Alexa for the title at Royal Rumble and have Paige win the Rumble and face Asuka at Mania. Ronda would come out and Ronda would face Charlotte at Mania.
Yeah.
That way you have both Raw and SmackDown having two high-quality matchups going into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But that all got messed up when Sasha kicked Paige in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Let's look forward a little bit to the next pay-per-view.
It's Elimination Chamber.
There is talks that there's going to be a women's elimination chamber.
Gay.
I mean,
If you were paying attention, this has Ronda written
all
all the fuck over it.
Yeah. She's going to Goldberg all over that.
Ronda is probably going to win the female eliminations chamber.
So that means she wins Alexa's title.
No.
This would be-
No.
No, it would be Raw. Yeah, you're right. He's right. It
Well,
would be
But no.
It's for the title. Normally,
It's
for the
number
always.
one
Not always.
contendership, but here's the other thing.
No. Because last year Bray Wyatt won the title
That
at
was
Elimination
like-
Chamber.
You're right. But
You're also assuming that Asuka's wanting Alexa. If Asuka goes after Charlotte, Raw does not have a number one contender.
That's true.
And then
Well,
Ronda would probably shipwreck the Elimination Chamber and become the number one contender. I have a problem with them bringing in Ronda off the streets and be like, all right, she's number one contender.
Yeah, I mean, you basically
But-
skip over a bunch of people.
Well, but that goes back to my point. Why would you even put Asuka to win if you're not going to let her have first pick
Yeah.
in the title?
And it doesn't even look like Asuka's going to have a title shot.
No.
So I don't think at this point, with what happened in the mat or what happened after the show, that she's not going to have a title.
If they do that, then they completely devalued the point of the women's rumble.
Oh, absolutely.
They already did that.
I mean, they pretty much did. Steven's right. I mean, once you sit there and you take the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble and then you bring out some big superstar to basically walk into the ring and be like, hey, guess what? You're the champion, and you just won the Women's Royal Rumble, but I got all the pop. I'm the best here. I mean, why would you... you should have saved Ronda Rousey for Raw or SmackDown.
Well, but also the other thing too is so if, again, spoiler, but if you watch the tape, Ronda comes out, obviously takes the pop away from Asuka, and points to the WrestleMania sign, looks at Charlotte, looks at Asuka, looks at Alexa, which I don't know why the fuck she even looked at Alexa, no offense. I love Alexa to death, but Jesus Christ. And then extends the hand out to Asuka to basically challenge Asuka. And once that's done, and Asuka slaps the hand away from Ronda, which, if I was Asuka, I would have just fucking bitch slapped her and got it over with, because bitch stole my fucking spotlight. Anyway.
Yeah, but you don't want to give that away right now.
I understand that, but the point is heat of the moment. And Ronda mouths to Asuka saying, I'll see you there, which implies, I'm assuming, that it's Asuka versus Ronda at Mania, which is all fine and dandy, but then you've just completely, A, shit on the entire concept of the Rumble, B, shit on both WWE titles.
Yeah, and
At the same time.
That goes to my point. What was the point of this? If this is what they were planning, what was the point of Asuka winning?
The point is to have a first ever, which is true. It is the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, which was a great concept. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, at least a guy didn't win it.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, that's because James Ellsworth got fucking shit
Santino very well could have been in that.
It was
That's
Santina.
true.
It was Santina.
Yeah.
Whichever his drag persona.
Right, but
But what I will say this. Think about what we've spent the last few minutes discussing. What's Ronda going to do? What's Asuka going to do? WWE got the reaction they wanted. They've got you talking about WrestleMania. They've got you wanting to tune in to see what's going to happen, who's going to pick what.
I mean,
Mission accomplished.
All four of us are going to tune in. I mean,
Mission accomplished. They got what they were setting out to do because it was a publicity, and it worked like a charm.
yeah.
You had Ronda just walk out. She didn't even really have to say anything.
Yeah.
Just her presence is enough to kick the beehive and make everybody discuss,
Yeah.
well, who's doing this, who's doing that.
Yeah. Well, it made us forget about Raw 25 and the train wreck that was. 'cause-
Oh, God. Yeah, can we just forget that even took place?
Yeah, that
Not
was
cool,
that
I
was
haven't
fucking.
seen it.
It wasn't worth seeing.
Shit.
It was
the
garbage.
highlight took place in the first segment when Austin stunned Vince and Shane, and after that there were a couple surprise returns.
It was
That was it.
It was a waste of 3 hours of my time. Undertaker came out. He said a bunch of gobbledygook, didn't announce if he was retiring, basically did some nonsense, and then walked out of the ring. Nobody had any fucking idea what he's talking about. Since he's not in the Rumble, I'm assuming that meant he was retired, but he literally said dick about what he was actually fucking doing.
JR and King fell asleep.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No,
but-
they did. They did.
They did. They did.
fell asleep.
Yeah. Well, apparently, from what I heard, when they were at the Barclays Center and they weren't at the Manhattan Center, they were showing them just fucking cruiserweight stuff. Like, you paid a bunch of money to watch fucking 205 Live. Like, who's paying a bunch of money for 205 Live? Like, I'd have been pissed.
I do think the future 205 Live looks brighter than it did a couple of days ago. Granted, Enzo is no longer employed and likely will never see the inside of a wrestling ring for a very long time, if ever.
Not missed.
Schwann's going to come back.
Thank God he got cleared.
Yeah.
It would appear Rey Mysterio will be adding some star power to the cruiserweight division.
Hurricane.
Hurricane. It'll be interesting to see if Ricochet or anybody else gets called up to
Right.
help pad a depleted division
I mean,
of star power.
Well, I think
basically a
I
useless
think-
division for a year and a half.
I think with Rey Mysterio being there, well, the problem was you had no names other
Well,
than Tajiri.
when we went to Raw, we got the cruiserweights as the main event, and we were pretty fucking salty about it. Because I wasn't too pleased that was the main event. Like, we could have gotten so many better main events.
Had it been somebody else in there besides Enzo, would that have changed your perspective?
Depends on who it was.
Well, but that was also
more than
when,
likely
but that was
no,
also
unless
when,
it was Rey Mysterio.
but that was also when Neville walked out.
Yeah, because that was
That
the
is
exact
that was
day.
the day that Neville walked.
That's
out.
why
Exactly.
everything got changed.
Yeah.
I believe the reasoning on Neville walking out was he's supposed to put over Enzo that night. Was that what led?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but it
And-
wasn't. It
Oh, yeah, I had a
wasn't.
fucking
No.
walkout, too. Fuck
It
Enzo.
wasn't that he was putting him over. It was that there was no payoff in the end for Neville.
Yeah. He won his title, and then he gets to watch Enzo shit all over it for several months. And
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck about him.
I do think.
I fast forwarded through. All
I
of
think
those
Neville
spots.
will eventually come back.
I don't think he will.
I
He's
mean,
already been in talks of coming back to.
While he's walked out, his offense was not greater than, say, Jarrett or Luger. Both of those committed far worse offense in the eyes of Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But for me, I'm not gonna. If I was to subscribe to the WWE Network or whatever, I'm not doing it to go watch 205 fucking live. So, and I doubt very many people are. So, I mean, even if you brought big star power, they're still not going to sit there and go, "Oh my god, I got to go see Rey Mysterio on 205 live." That's unlikely to be the reason that they're going to go to watch
No,
the cruiserweights,
but-
because they can get their fill on fucking
Hang
Raw.
on. No, but you will get a highly. Well, okay, I've seen it before, but you will get a highly anticipated match in 1 year's time, if Bray stays there the entire time.
Which this could be a one-time thing. We don't actually know what Ray's doing.
Ray will more than likely stay there because of the fact that the cruiserweight division is dying very, very quickly.
Yep.
Because of the fact that there's no star power. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Cedric Alexander. I'm also a fan of Rich Swann. I'm also a fan of Daivari.
Yeah.
And of Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
But other than that, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah. And really, none of them.
I mean, it's
are all
bad
that.
when you're trying to get Gold Dust as perceived as a cruiserweight. No offense, but I'm not wearing no damn cruiserweight. I love him to death, don't get me wrong. But when you get...
I mean, you're plugging star power, really.
Well,
at that
right,
point.
Yeah,
right.
That's what they did with Sasha Banks for a while there.
Right, but star power right now you really don't have a lot of. If you put Rey Mysterio in there, and if you say at a year's time, let's say Rey Mysterio has the Cruiserweight title, and at the time around WrestleMania, Ricochet comes up, and you get Ricochet versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania for a Cruiserweight title. I don't know about you guys, but that would be something that I would want to watch. Granted, I've already seen it with Lucha Underground.
I don't foresee that being a this year thing.
I didn't say this year. I was saying in a year's time. I'm saying like next year that might be. I'm not saying this year by any means. God, no.
NXT kind of got flooded with a lot of talent over the last week. War Machine, EC3, Ricochet. They've got a bunch of people. And Tommaso came back at TakeOver. So I'm kind of curious to see where all these pieces fall into place in the pecking order. Interesting to note, a lot of people thought Peyton Royce and Billie Kay were going to get called up to the Women's Rumble. That was not the case. It was Kairi Sane and Ember Moon that got called up, which I'm surprised Ember Moon showed up for the Royal Rumble. She had a really brutal match with Shayna Baszler the night prior at TakeOver. Really good match. I thought Shayna looked pretty good in the match. Obviously, Ember coming out hoisting the belt. Ember won. It was a good finish. I think it helped protect both of them. Both looked good. Ember still protected the finish. She hit the Eclipse on Shayna. Rolled to the other side of the ring, selling her arm. Baszler's out. So she was gone long enough to where the finisher stayed protected. Ember still wins. Shayna didn't really lose anything by the way she lost. She just got outsmarted by a vet. Everybody walks away at the same or maybe a little bit better, which is what a good match should do. That's what you want to do in a match. You want to have both people be better than when they first got in.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's going to be call-ups coming. So you've got to get some of that talent out of NXT, and you've got to get it out.
Yep, and you're going to have to start
But-
dumping people.
I
Yeah.
would like to point out, I mean, you got to be careful how much talent we're talking about bringing up, because look how long WrestleMania went last year, and they've got a hell of a lot more talent on the roster now than they did last year.
Well, okay,
And
so
the New Day also was off the card last year too, so
which I think was kind of shitty on both ends.
I
They'd have to
mean,
be there.
there was some that got released that understandably they didn't want to have on their main show.
Yeah, but still, it's not. I mean,
The
that
punishment was a lot lighter than what it could have been.
true. But I mean, that's my big thing is, you know, I mean, with Royal Rumble and everything like that, like, I mean, I highly enjoyed it, but at the same time, they shit all over Asuka. Like, that literally just, it shit all over her, man.
I thought it was a good Rumble, one of the better ones.
True.
A lot of stuff, a lot of WrestleMania seeds got planted. The breakup between Rollins and Jordan got planted.
Bailey and Sasha.
Bailey and Sasha, possibly those seeds were planted there. Be interested to see what happens the next couple of weeks. But I do want to say one thing I took from the Rumble. I was very happy how strong they made Nia look. She had a lot of eliminations. She looked really strong, and it took five or six to get her out.
Six.
Yeah, it was quite a few. You had to
So-
start marking a lot of fucking numbers
Tallies
down.
there. So she looked. I think from a standpoint of did they do right by Nia in the match, because Nia's kind of had a history of not really getting booked properly.
90% of the fucking people there
think-
don't get booked properly.
I think Nia got handled pretty well.
Yeah.
Sucks she didn't win. I kind of would have liked to have seen Nia win, but
I'm sure you would
Well,
have.
and she's got to learn from her botches, too, because that's what screwed up Bailey's shoulder.
I think one of the.
Or Phantom Elbow Drop.
Yeah. mean,
I think a
something.
lot of with Nia is. I don't know. She just kind of seems awkward in the ring sometimes.
Well, she's a bigger gal.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of from reports that I've heard on her is that she's being body shamed because of the way she looks.
Yeah, so much for that anti-bullying campaign, huh, WWE?
Yeah, well, you know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's reports. I'm not saying it's true or not by any means, but at the same time, I can kind of understand where people are saying that because, I mean, she is a bigger person. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, but the thing is that she used to be skinny.
She actually looked pretty damn good too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think she looks good now, but
I mean, she's just bigger, but I mean, you know, as bad as it's going to sound, it's more cushion for the pushing, but, you know. What?
Oh, I got something. Just finish your thought. I want before we move on to whatever we're going to move on to. I'm so proud of WWE because they didn't shit all over Becky Lynch like I thought they were. I thought they were going to put her next to Sasha and they were going to eliminate her in the first 30 seconds, and Sasha was going to sit there and wait for the next person for a minute, and she made it damn near to what 24, 25. I think she was in there when Asuka was in there.
she
went
lasted for a
deep.
while.
So,
Well, she
I
was
was-
in there up until the final four because it was the two Bellas.
no,
her and
Becky?
Asuka.
Sasha. No, it was Sasha.
Oh, I was
was the last
talking
one.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Becky went out.
No, I was not. I don't care about Sasha, but
Oh,
Becky is my favorite, and I was happy that they didn't do what they did to her in Survivor Series and shit all over her.
That was
Thanks-
awesome.
thanks-
I'm running around pointing to the sky. Bailey
Thanks,
just beat him.
Thanks, Kevin Dunn, you piece of shit. I think this whole podcast is going to be a shit on Kevin Dunn every week thing.
At least from your perspective,
Oh
Colin.
yeah, because Kevin Dunn's a piece
Well,
of shit.
to finish the Rumble thought, I was very happy to see some of the old timers back.
Yeah,
Lita, Trish, Michelle McCool had 5 eliminations.
yeah. Molly Holly was in
Yeah,
it.
and that was fantastic.
God, there was quite a few other ones.
She looked great,
Kelly,
by the way.
Kelly was in there. Yeah, it was a good show. Also, pretty happy with the men's one. Glad Roman Reigns didn't win. I was super concerned I was going to be right on that.
No, they're going to save his win for the Chamber. Don't worry.
No,
He's going to be at Mania.
yeah, unfortunately. Or he's going to win.
And what
he's-
happened to his suspension?
I don't think that's going to come down to anything.
Well, it'll be interesting because the alleged dealer, whomever it may be, keeps saying that they have incriminating evidence on Roman Reigns. I mean, it's one thing to say it, but let's see it. If you've got it, for the love of God, spare us.
Yeah.
Let's get him suspended soon. Preferably, wait a
Now.
couple more weeks. That way he's off of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Wait until mid-February. That'll be good. That'll be perfect.
I know what we had originally talked about.
They're gonna push WrestleMania back till like the end of April. He will be there, you fucking pieces of shit.
Vince sitting there trying to rearrange arena dates. All right, we've got to get Mania to a different location.
We're going in May.
But we had discussed at the conclusion of last week's podcast. Each of us wanted to pick a topic and address it here on the podcast. We each have one topic. So, who would like to go first?
Whatever Zach's doing, mine
Probably goes after.
goes right after because ours is kind
Pretty
of
much
in
the
the
same.
same. It's just a little bit different. Scott, give it a go.
All right. Well, I decided to go with the relaunch of the XFL.
Okay.
So, on Thursday, January 28th at 3 p.m., Vince relaunched the XFL.
Right.
Honestly, I think it's going to be much more successful than what people are giving it credit for. And I have reasons why.
Let him finish his thing, and then we'll go.
No,
round
no,
table
no,
this
no. It's my skepticism is not because of. It's not because of what the product will actually be. It's because of everything that's happening in the other one as well. That's my skepticism. But.
Well, here, I want you guys to think a couple years ago. When did they start putting WWE back on ESPN?
It had to be a couple of years
2014, 2015?
That's
Whenever
when-
Ronda Rousey was at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and then when Coachman came to ESPN.
No, that one too.
So I want you guys
I
to
think that was right around the same time,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
So think back. WWE, well, because Vince probably greenlighted this.
Mm-hmm.
Vince gets WWE to start airing on ESPN, where all the big major sports get shown, opening up those audiences to his product, to what he has. I'm fairly confident in saying that I think Vince has sat on the relaunch of the XFL for a while, and getting on ESPN was the first step into this.
Right.
Because now you have opened up to a much larger market.
Well, another thing too is like
and-
you've got that XFL that got relaunched on fucking 30 for 30. They did a full entire hour and a half special on the XFL.
I
and
think we all watched it.
I'm pretty sure we all.
I
I,
know
mean,
I
maybe not
watched it.
together, but I mean,
We didn't
you know,
do it
at one
together. I
time-
recorded it myself.
Yeah,
watched
same
it.
here. But I mean, like getting that on the ESPN probably is what initiated it into starting.
Well, and let's not forget ESPN and ESPN2 and all those ESPN connections. There is a cable channel that is connected to them, ABC. So they could get a national
And I
broadcast.
I think too, people don't realize also that Raw and SmackDown, now that they're both on USA, their contract runs out in a couple of years. So hey,
Which would bring up
exactly.
That
so,
was the other point. Vince has some decent leverage when it comes to making a deal. Vince gets a lot of flack for failing outside anything that's not wrestling. I think that's greatly
But
exaggerated.
what has he really failed at? I
He's
mean,
only failed at-
other than the first XFL, which that was
That's
just
the only one.
all hoopla. But
the
what
only
has he
one.
really failed at?
There are people, and I'm not one of these people, that view the WWE films as a flop.
Why?
In fairness, I didn't know there was a WWE.
There is, but not. But see, but the point of WWE films is it's not meant to go head to head with other studios. It's meant to give his people a way out of WWE to see if they can make it as an actor. I mean, no offense, but you know, you got The Rock, who is probably one of the most well-known A wrestlers and B actors around the globe right now. But a lot of that is because he started his own film production company.
I will say this on the we're against WWE films. There's only so many fucking times I want to see the Marine.
No, I got you. I got you. I mean,
What are we
like,
up to, 7?
I might rival Saw right now. I don't know.
Right. I mean, like
Saul's up at 9, I think.
after the first one, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But back to the
And they've had 3 different Marine, because I think they had Orton after. Was it 4 now? Because they started with Cena, and then it was Orton, Who's
And
after
then
Orton?
Miz and Summer Rae.
Kennedy was in there.
And then Kennedy.
Really?
Yeah,
Fucking Kennedy?
there's been a lot.
The Marine
Jesus.
behind enemy lines.
But back
Wow.
to the XFL topic. Reason why I think in 2 years this will actually be successful, because a lot of the problems that are happening in the NFL are not going to be solved in 2 years. The number one complaint is the kneeling for the national anthem.
Which,
Vince has put into the contracts, if you sign up for the XFL, you are contractually obligated to stand for the national anthem.
yeah. Here's the thing, though. He didn't, like, completely shit on him. His basic theory was, you're under my dime, all the teams are owned by me, therefore, you're playing for me.
Your representation of my views.
Yeah. If you want to protest, you can protest it while you're not playing football in the offseason.
It's also worth
And-
mentioning Vince did say he will not hire a person with a criminal background for the XFL.
Which is much better than the NFL.
Another big complaint that I think will help boost XFL, people bitch about New England always winning. And that's probably not something that's stopping in 2 years. You love them, hate them, you're indifferent about them. Fact is, they're going to keep winning. And people are going to keep bitching. The other big one is tackling. People are all about, well, they don't tackle anymore. They can't hit anymore.
It's because I can't.
He's got a point. I mean,
Like,
they
but
made
but
it
but
so-
that's the thing though. Like, hang on. Okay, so if you're telling me that my biggest complaint is that you are not allowed to tackle anymore, am I wrong? Because seriously, almost every fucking down I see, there's a shoulder going into somebody who is immediately accused of doing head-to-helmet contact, which is not fair when you lead with your fucking shoulder. You hit with your fucking... If you hit him in the knees, that's considered being too bad. If you accidentally run into the quarterback, that's a penalty. If you get pushed into the quarterback, that's a penalty. If you get pushed into a kicker, that's a penalty.
If you touch Tom Brady.
If you touch Tom Brady, that's a penalty.
That's a good penalty.
If you touch any fucking quarterback that's under the age of 28, that's a penalty.
You mean over the age of 28?
Thank you. Sorry.
Cam
No,
Newton's-
under.
Really? Because Cam Newton doesn't
Not
get
old
penalties.
enough. He's not old enough to get called.
Well, what I'm saying is people. That's another complaint people have. And
But is it a valid one?
Don't forget the Saints player who didn't know how
I'm
to
not
tackle.
saying I'm not saying it's not
Moorhead.
about. I'm not saying it's not a valid complaint. I'm saying that's a complaint, and that's something that by 2020 ain't being changed.
Well, no, but like the way you made it sound was it's not a valid complaint.
No, it's a valid complaint.
Okay, I'm like, dude, that is a very valid complaint because I'm sorry, but
the other big one. What the fuck's a catch?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think
I'll
the
give you
XFL can figure that
If
one out.
if Vince is like, this is a catch, congrats, you're already ahead of the fucking NFL.
Yeah, because the NFL it seems to have a brain stroke every time they fuck.
They don't.
That's
have-
not a catch. You're not good enough to get a catch.
A catch changes by the play.
Oh, literally by the
oh
week.
fucking shit.
Literally every fucking week it's a different.
The other big thing is Vince wanting to wait 2 years to get it right.
That is smart.
Oh,
I think that's
smart.
brilliant. Yeah. Because maybe in 2 years the NFL has figured out what the hell they're doing, or
No.
they may be gone.
No.
Another thing that ties
Well,
into
they won't.
another thing that's going to tie into their success, I believe, is there's going to be 8 teams. So you're looking Vince.
10.
No, it's 18.
It's
10
8 teams,
weeks.
and Vince said that he is going to target from the major and the mid-market teams.
So you're probably going to get a New York, an LA, somewhere in Florida, probably
Somewhere
in
in
Miami,
Texas.
probably a Dallas. You might get Chicago. Actually, probably
Chicago
get
is listed in.
Um,
I was
I was
looking.
telling him that the other
I was
day. I was
looking
like,
where
Chicago's one.
I was looking where Indiana ranks in this. We are 25th.
So we're not going to get a team.
Oh hell no!
No, I mean we
No.
weren't going to get a team anyways. We have I mean,
It's possible, but it would be.
they
it would
probably
be a
should
long
now. While the
shot.
Colts suck.
If the XFL takes off and he can start putting teams, the other big thing is he is running his season on Sunday
Ooh, yeah, but he's starting.
during the playoffs of the NFL.
He is ballsy.
That's Vince McMahon.
Not really, because in reality, there's 10 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So
It
two
starts
of
mid-January.
right, but so 2 of the weeks, he would be only competing. 2 out of 10,
Yeah, that's well. He would probably start the.
and I would bet
the-
money he would not run a week on a Super Bowl.
I would venture to say you might be wrong because this is Vince, and
Vince don't
that
give a
ego
fuck.
Yeah.
that might get flexed of I cannot do the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which, Vince, if you ever hear this, I wish you the best of luck because that would be a hell of a task to take on. A couple
We
of
salute you.
a couple of concerns I have.
Well, if New England's in the Super Bowl when you start the XFL, I'll be watching, buddy.
He says at this moment WWE will be separate from it. I kind of want to see how long that lasts.
Yeah, as far as I know, that he's going to get his own announcers that aren't part of the WWE. So please don't send us fucking Byron Saxton, for the love of Jesus, or any of those other fucking people. I think the XFL one, the first time, I mean, they had Lawler and Ross calling it, and they were bringing in WWE people.
And The Rock and people like
to
that.
just show up.
To be fair, though, at the time he was doing that, the WWF was probably at the peak of its popularity. It was the hottest thing in the world at that time.
It was right
so
around-
I get from a publicity and marketing standpoint why that was done.
Yeah.
But Vince says this go around, I'm giving football back to the fans. These will be two separate things. Hopefully he can make that happen. The other point that I wanted to bring up that kind of falls into my concerns and maybe how this might be a little bit more successful is the quality of player that Vince is looking for this go around is different than last time. Last time, out of all of the players that he had, they had what, 3 go to the NFL?
I only know of 2.
Okay, so we'll say 2 to 3 were actually NFL quality
Well,
players.
okay, we'll go 2 the NFL. 1 was a coach. 1 became a college football coach.
So the rest of the players you had were just Joe Blows put in jerseys.
Yeah.
You're not going to put on a very good competitive product with that. Now, there is a market for Vince to go tap into.
College.
Vince is on record of saying, I saw on Twitter, Tebow could play for the XFL if Tebow had interest in it. Trent Richardson I could see playing. Manziel allegedly has already had the door slammed on his request, but we'll see where Vince stands on that in 2 years.
Yeah, because I know Manziel put in he'd play, and then Vince smartly told him to kindly fuck off.
It will be interesting to see where Vince goes for talent. Not everybody gets drafted.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him take the kids that, like in my situation, that never had a chance to go to the NFL or even get invited to a combine. And be like, hey, you want, kind of try out for this team.
Hell, I'd go try out.
But
I ain't healthy now to do it, and I'd have to do a lot of workout.
But I mean-
Actually, and I'd be 30 by then, so I'm probably not in football shape
in
anymore.
2020, I mean, it'll be hopefully it takes off and hopefully it does well for him because I would like to see this be successful.
Yeah.
But as far as the XFL, I mean, that's really all I've got on my topic. Tagging Steven here for his take.
So obviously we've always talked about wrestling, and Scott kind of brought up the XFL. So we've always talked about the wrestling portion of this, and like Scott had mentioned earlier, we each picked a topic to which we all wanted to discuss. Obviously, Scott chose the XFL. I actually wanted to talk about one of my favorite times right now, and that's March Madness.
All right.
February, March, as you're getting ready to get into the NCAA tournament time, tourney time. One of my favorite things to always deal with and watch, especially on the weekends, now that football is slowly coming to an end. But that's just my portion of it. I know everybody here has their favorite teams. Obviously, myself is North Carolina, Colin is TCU, Zach is Notre Dame, and Scott is Ohio State.
It's not always good times for college basketball.
Well, this year is the exception to that rule for you, sir.
I believe in this case, we actually all 4 have teams that are very relevant in.
Well, I'm
in
going to
college
stop you
basketball.
there. There is a certain rhythm to how Ohio State operates in basketball. I love Ohio State. I was raised an Ohio State fan. I will die an Ohio State fan. And one thing that I have learned while watching Ohio State basketball is they are, in a way, like the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball. They are waiting to break my heart. And it will happen. It will happen when I most suspect it.
Yeah.
Not when I least, but when I most. Perfect example, when they're playing Penn State. I hate Penn State with a passion. They lose to Penn State. I saw it coming. It was just like you're in a bad relationship with a chick, let's say, and she cheats on you, but you keep forgiving her because she's super hot. So I forgave him for the Penn State thing, but I know when it gets time to the tournament, they're gonna screw me again. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
What?
I'm glad you said that.
But back to your topic. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing, though, because
It affects all of us.
because I'm a TCU fan, so college basketball has been rightly irrelevant to me for a long time.
I feel like the only two who have a big conversation to talk about are Zach and I.
Well, I do now because I've been watching a lot of TCU.
What I meant by that is it was like our two teams are very prestige in basketball. It's like for me it's the opposite in football, whereas we couldn't win a fucking dime in football to save our lives.
Well, you're not lying.
But Zach's Notre Dame is very cherished and very highly respected in the football aspect. Sorry, Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, TCU football has been incredibly strong and has been relevant for quite a few years. And so, I mean, for me, getting into basketball, because last year TCU won the NIT tournament, which isn't a big deal to most people, but it is to me. And then we started a 12-0 run to start the season. We struggled a little bit in Big 12, but Big 12 is probably one of the best conferences in college basketball right now. I mean,
now he's got a point.
I mean, we've got several good teams. We struggled in the SEC tournament, which kind of pissed me off because we lost to a team that we should not have lost to.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, we lost to Vanderbilt, which is a team that absolutely should. We should have blown them out of the water this week, and we lost by 3, so not a big loss. All of our losses have been by 5 or less, though. So we haven't gotten blown out yet. We've blown a few teams out. But TCU is projected to be the 7th seed, so we probably will make it to the second, maybe to the Sweet 16, maybe if we get lucky. But we lost our star point guard for the season with a torn meniscus, so that might cause some problems because our backup isn't bad. He just makes stupid mistakes all the time. Like he had a wide open 3 and decided to throw it at the baseline to a guy that basically had another person draped on him, and then wondered why the ball got stolen. I almost threw something through my fucking TV. Like, are you stupid? He was wide open. There was nobody within 10 feet of him.
Well, he was
shoot the 3.
Well, to be fair, he was probably thinking he'll draw a foul at the very
And
most.
a 3-point play.
Yeah.
Well, the baseline he would only gotten a 2-point play.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean, if he got fouled, like, in the act of shooting.
and he would have made the shot, yeah. But still, I mean, wide open 3. You got to take that, especially when you're down.
So, I mean, with the way March Madness has been, and the kind of the way I feel like the beginning of the year has gone in sports in general, as Paul Heyman would say, the reigning, defending national champs, North Carolina, we ain't going to make it all the way in very far in the tournament this year. I can damn well tell you that. Because if you got somebody tall, have a fucking field day.
So basically, if Purdue shows up,
oh, yeah, we're screwed.
Purdue will probably
if they show up.
Oh, no. There's no if they show up. All you gotta do is give it to Haas. We ain't gonna fucking block that shit.
Purdue's kind of been that Cinderella team that...
Not this year.
Well, here's the thing.
They're not,
Purdue's not
Cinderella, though.
Purdue's not a Cinderella team when they're ranked 3rd. You can't be.
Well, they didn't start the season ranked 3rd. Where did they start the season?
They were
21.
Were they ranked?
They were ranked.
They were ranked.
Oh, yeah, they were.
They were towards the end of the rankings, but they were still
Yeah.
there.
Actually, no, they started out 18, I think.
Yeah, so we're...
Something.
Yeah,
It
'cause
was in the top 20.
I think at one
like
point all 4 of our teams were ranked in the top 25.
Well, not mine.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't ranked.
We take
that's right.
miracles to get ranked.
I forgot.
see,
Ohio State ain't that good at basketball.
Here's the thing, though, and I guess it's like the logic of it, is because North Carolina, very prestigious. I mean, yes, we're rebuilding, but the only person we have is Joel Berry, who's actually on the team from last year. Everybody else is fucking new. Jalik Felton, who's the cousin of Raymond Felton, is on there. everybody else is new except for Luke. Luke, I can't remember his last name. It's Luke. I know that he's a left-handed white guy, the only white guy on the fucking team. But anyway, he's there. But going back to where I was saying, Michigan State was supposed to be this big fucking powerhouse. And they've been fumbling, which I know will lead into your
Yeah, we're
topic
gonna get
later
into
on.
Michigan State.
No. But I'm talking about as from the basketball perspective. They were supposed to be this powerhouse. They were going to go in, and I'll admit, they beat North Carolina, 61-45, which is Michigan State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge,
right.
or not the ACC Challenge. It was in a cross,
tournament.
yeah, it was classic of some sort, and we lost 61-45, but we play fucking Ohio State and we beat them by 17, and then we beat Michigan in the ACC Big Ten Challenge by 15.
Right.
The problem with the Michigan game is we were up by 29 and we only won by 15. So I feel like there's a problem going on in that.
Well,
and I mean, I don't know how much basketball you guys watch, at least, obviously North Carolina. But North Carolina has always been that transition team to where they pass the ball. They're a quick shooting team. They tire you out. This year, ain't none of that shit happening.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, to talk about TCU a little bit, the player with the most assists in a game in any conference in NCAA right now is our point guard from TCU. He had 17 assists one game. So, unfortunately, he tries to play too much like he just needs to hand assists off, and he needs to be more gutsy and shoot the ball more. He doesn't shoot the ball as much as I think he should. Which you're in trouble, though, if you face TCU, because we have a big man who basically all he does is he backs up, and then he does...
yep.
He backs up to right there, just outside the paint, and then he does his little air hook, and he 9 times out of 10 makes it because he's really good, and he's also really good on the foul line. So don't foul him. I mean, do foul him. We'd like to move
Fuck
along.
And from my end, Notre Dame was up pretty high this last year. Right now we're playing Duke and we're down 2 points, but it's just early.
Beat Duke.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Beat them Dragons.
But I think with Notre Dame has always been a women's college basketball, domination. Of course, they always wind up playing UConn.
And UConn always wins.
Right.
Except for last year.
Well, yeah, except for last year. But, I mean, Notre Dame is struggling to keep people healthy. Like, the injury bugs are starting to bite down. I know Bozzy Colson, I believe is what his name is, has missed time with his foot.
He was supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, the ACC Player of the Year. He was
Yeah,
like a
a
rookie.
candidate.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know how. I mean, it's going to depend on what we get back. I haven't followed Notre Dame, the basketball program, as much. I have been following the women, of course, because they're fantastic. They're 20-2 and they're ranked number 5. So,
But, I mean, like, yes, this is about March Madness, which would also follow into, like, the women's aspect of it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the UConn coach being able to take each of his teams, I think it was like for 7 years in a row. He went undefeated.
yeah. And the only team that's ever done that in the men's program is IU.
Right.
Yeah.
But UConn's done it like 7 years in a row.
It's incredible.
Yeah, they've won a lot. They win a lot. I think they had a 200 game winning streak,
Yep.
including the playoffs, including March Madness.
The only national championship that hangs up in the banners at Notre Dame in the basketball portion is from the women when they beat Purdue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're getting better, and I think going to the ACC has really helped Notre Dame.
Which I don't understand why they don't do that in
Well,
football.
it's
But that's
all-
different.
yeah.
Different conversation.
For a separate podcast.
Different
I was
conversation.
we discussed that last week a little bit. I think that
That's
it's
why I
all
said
about
different conversation. But
all about money.
Yeah.
I mean, March Madness, like, I understand, like, I am very big into March Madness. You guys know that. If you had, this would be something where I would want to test your guys' quote unquote knowledge if you guys watch college basketball. If you had to pick the top 4 seeds, who would it be right now?
Top 4.
The four number 1 seeds.
Okay, discounting today's games because they've already started. Villanova, Virginia, Duke, Purdue.
Who would be the number 1 overall?
Villanova.
Okay.
I would top 4 for me. I think would be Villanova. You'd probably have to put Duke in one of those.
Hopefully not after tonight.
Well, yeah. Well, let's just.
One time I root for Notre Dame.
I would agree with Colin. I mean, I think Villanova would probably be the number 1 overall seed.
So I'm assuming as long as they win out.
If they went out, barring some different kind of
Of course.
miracle, like Butler beating them early in the season.
Right.
I think it'll be Villanova 1. I think Purdue could get 2. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility to get 2 for them.
Wait. Are you
Well,
talking
isn't-
about them being a 2 seed or a 1 seed?
1 seed, but if you're comparing the 1 seeds, like
Or-
regular ones,
but
they'd be
the
the
num-
second 1 seed.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, because Virginia plays in the ACC, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Correct.
And the ACC is not exactly easy to get through undefeated. So
No.
I don't see Virginia getting all the way through it. Purdue playing the Big Ten, that's also kind of iffy because the Big Ten isn't exactly,
What
Well,
it used to be.
Right.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
they're a decent.
Big Ten
conference.
is going to come down to what, them and Ohio State probably?
no. Well, they play February 7th. But I honestly think it'll come down to Purdue and Michigan.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
yuck.
agree with that. I would
Of course.
Michigan ain't no slouch.
No, neither. Well, State's not. State.
Well,
that's-
hang on.
Yeah. Before tonight's game, maybe. Fuck, who knows?
But I mean, with all this Michigan State talk,
Go
Oh,
talk
that's cool.
about.
Oh, that's cool. Let's not let me pick mine. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, my topic. Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's finish.
Go ahead,
this
big
next
baby.
round.
So yeah, number 1, I was still. I don't know about Nova. The number 1 team has switched so many times this year. It's not even funny. But in all honesty, I kind of agree that yes, Villanova should be a number 1 seed. I also Virginia's on the ropes, but they always screw up somewhere down the road. I honestly don't see Duke being a number 1 seed.
Well, they might not be.
I
a
honestly
little bit of bias coming from that one.
no, I see West Virginia being a number 1 seed.
That could happen.
Don't
West
you
Virginia.
Fucking say that shit.
It ain't gonna be TCU.
I know that, but TCU beat West Virginia.
Well,
so-
and then Purdue being the 4th number 1 seed. And the reason why I say that is because, one, the ACC is really, really tough. You've got Virginia, you've got Miami, you've got North Carolina, you've got Duke, you've got Clemson, you've got Florida State, and you've got NC State all in there, and Notre Dame. 8 teams out of the 16, if I'm not mistaken, are probably getting in that damn tournament.
Yeah.
yeah, Big 12 is projected to have.
And,
seven.
and the other thing too is Big 12 is, in my eyes, probably the 2nd toughest conference right now.
Yep.
Because you've got Oklahoma, Kansas, who's always been the top dog in that one, and then you've got TCU this year. No offense, but this year, and then you've got West Virginia, and then you've also got, I believe, Texas Tech is always pretty
Texas
good
Tech
too.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
Texas hasn't been too bad this year.
The last person they had was Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And then you've got, the Big Ten that's, in my eyes, kind of garbage.
Well, I mean, they're rebuilding.
Bro, it's garbage.
I can't. With Tom Izzo being still coached right now,
Right.
I will not put money on him to win games in the tournament because he does. Let's just face it.
Izzo
he wins
magic.
games.
I'll agree to that. But also at the same time, so let's put it this way. So if you go Big Ten, number 1 seed will more than likely be Purdue. Number 2 seed will probably be Ohio State and Michigan.
That'll
If-
change. Trust me. Give it time.
Well, you got Ohio State and Michigan, and then who else do you put in from the Big Ten?
I would put in, just hypothetically. I know I used rebuilding, so I used Nolan.
No,
Lloyd.
okay, so we'll throw in Michigan State because they'll more than
Yeah.
likely make a run. But then who do you put in?
I could see putting maybe. I know Nebraska's not a slouch this year. I know not Penn State, but freaking Northwestern's not a pushover.
True.
And
Penn State's fine. Penn State did Ohio State. They
but,
should be
but no, but let me preference this by saying that I think this is a rebuilding year because let's face it, I think the best conference in college basketball, if it's a normal year, the Big Ten's probably right up there with the ACC.
Yeah.
That's fair.
As far as what?
This up there in power. If it's a normal year, if it's
Okay,
not if it's not a rebuilding
okay.
year.
I was gonna say this year.
This
No,
year,
not this
this
year.
year it's ACC and Big 12.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's normally ACC, Big Ten, or Big Ten, ACC.
Well,
it just
and
depends.
there's been another
Well,
conference too that's
Philadelphia's
actually
Big East, right?
yes.
And it's like Big East is always.
Yeah, they're pretty good too.
They're always good in basketball.
Well, the one
They don't
conference
exist
that's
in
actually
football.
decent is SEC, and Kentucky's not even ranked now. The last time I knew.
right. I don't
They
know.
coulda- it coulda changed, but still.
Alabama knocked off Oklahoma. God, that makes me sick.
Do we have to talk about Alabama on this podcast?
In basketball, it's a lot better than football.
But
That's true.
speaking of the Big Ten, I know there was also another story going around. It'd be kind of
Yeah,
would
let's
be nice to
segue
touch
into-
it on.
Well, we won't segue into mine because we'll start with his because his segues into mine,
Right.
technically
True,
speaking.
true.
So go ahead.
All right, this is going to be very controversial. I'm just going to go ahead and preface that right now. And we talked about it a little bit last night after we had some issues, but I want to talk about the Nasser case.
Yep.
Now, this doesn't, and now that I've found this out, Nasser, it's not just the U.S. Olympic team. It's also the Michigan State where he was
Yep.
the head athletic trainer
Yeah.
for
Years.
years.
Yeah.
But I don't want to argue what happened because he's guilty as all sin.
Yeah.
We all know that from what happened. I'm not going to recap that. But I do want to talk about what the judge had to say because this is where it gets very controversial in my opinion.
This could also lead to him getting a mistrial.
Well, and here's the thing that you can look up what you're looking up. This is two separate trials.
Yes.
So the first trial is the first trial actually had to do with something completely separate than the second trial. So the first trial was that he had they had found copies of child pornography on his phone,
Right.
or his computer or whatever. That was a federal trial where he got
60 years.
60 years in
60
prison,
years.
somewhere around 40 to 60 years. That will not go away.
No.
The judge was residing over the sexual harassment or the sexual assault cases.
Misconduct at the
Yes,
Olympics.
that happened after the fact. So, and there's a third trial. He's going to go later this month, or early next
February,
month.
yeah.
For something else that I didn't really read into. Probably something with Michigan State. But the first one, he's guaranteed 40 to 60 years, no
Yeah.
questions asked. Now the other 100 and whatever years.
115 years.
Yeah, the other 100 whatever years that he has attached to it, that's where the mistrial could go in, and that's what has
Yeah.
to do with what Zach was saying.
So, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm going to go ahead and read some of what she said. And I don't agree with it because it's not necessary.
Right.
She talks about his problems with being a sexual deviant throughout his life, which, okay, the psychologist or whatever said, he's known about it, blah, blah, blah. But what I don't like is the fact that she said, I'm glad I got the whole, and I quote, I got to preside over these sisters' case. Okay, that's strike one. It's not too bad if you just look at it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the second thing that she said is what really, as an athlete and as a male, it pisses me off. The last thing that she said is, "I just signed your death warrant," and along with some other things that were thrown in there, she should be disbarred. This is not the United States judicial system is based upon the fact that it's a blind system. It's also supposed to be partially deaf. You're supposed to hear the case. You're not supposed to put politics into this. or a movement into this. And I know I'm gonna sound like an asshole for saying this, but feminism is now so bad in this country that if you are a male, you are an athlete, you are just a regular Joe Blow. If you get caught at a party, let's just say you get put into this situation where if you have consensual sex, she said, "Hey, yes, let's do this." The next day, she could turn right back around and say, "Hey, he raped me," and then it's going to wind up really damaging to that person that's been accused. Now, for Michigan State, we'll get to your topic, but I'm not going to get too far into it. It's going to hurt all the athletes in that school. Look at Penn State, look at Baylor. That's just
Okay.
two examples.
In fairness, I don't think Baylor ever got punished for anything they did.
I don't think yet, but it's coming.
It
is
better
coming.
come.
It is.
It
You,
better
you
happen.
know by damn well it's going to happen.
I mean, God already struck them down by the shitty football season they had last year, which was glorious to watch.
right.
But
what I'm getting at is it's coming. We all know because they've already set the bar at Penn State.
yeah,
Baylor's going to be real bad.
yeah,
And I'm not going to go too much further because I don't want to get into your topic.
right.
But I want to know what you guys think about this because I am honestly, very concerned. Because I'm an ex-athlete in college. I know what happens to universities that are brought upon these charges because I've seen it several times. It doesn't matter what division of sport you're in. You know universities. You know people that go.
Yeah.
You form those bonds, and it's just kind of like, okay, you guys have got to be very, very careful, and that's the warning that I want to give to all college athletes, any athlete, any human being.
Keep them.
Now, again, I hope and pray that they did the right thing. I hope Izzo, I hope D'Antoni did the right thing and pushed this along. I know the president resigned. I know the athletic director is about to step down. Because of all of this stuff. Again, I don't know all the details. I need to do the research, need to look it up, but I just pray to God because I know what it does to the athlete. It's not fair to the athlete that goes to those schools because they have nothing to do with it.
Well, typically in these situations, the NCAA will grant them an automatic release to go to a different
Yeah,
school
they won't have to sit
without
out.
they won't have to sit
They
out there.
get out of jail free cards.
Right.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying I don't want these kids that didn't do anything at Michigan State, be punished or have a stigma behind them because hey, you were at Michigan State when the Nassar thing happened. So if he's dirty, then you've got to be dirty too. I don't want to see that because I've seen it before, and I just don't want to see that again.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, it was just one person doing a lot of horrible things to a lot of people. So I don't think any of the athletes per se were involved with it. Hopefully they weren't. God, I hope not.
Right.
Hopefully this was an isolated incident. We took care of the perpetrator.
Right.
I know that it can't really fix what happened to all those people,
Right.
but hopefully this gives them some sort of
Closure.
at least, that they know that this scumbag is behind bars forever, and he'll die there, hopefully. We would get Steven's take, but Steven has left the building, understandably so. He's got some personal stuff to take care of, so I think we'll call it from here.
Before we call it, I do want to give a quick shout out and a thank you to Mike
Yeah.
for coming up with the logo for our podcast.
Um,
Mike Bradley. He's a pretty good rapper and singer. I've heard a couple of his songs, and he's definitely a very talented young artist. And he did take time out to come up with the logo for the podcast. And he was eventually going to try to come yesterday and do a segment with us, but he had some stuff come up with his daughter, and he wasn't able to make it. But I do want to say thank you to him for the logo. That means a lot. I wanted to get that in before we...
yeah, and also special thanks to my buddy Sean he helped me upload the first video because I don't know how to upload videos very well. So he helped me upload it. He did all the technical stuff for that. He's much more computer savvy than I am. So thanks, Sean. I appreciate it, buddy. We all appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Sean.
Yep.
I obviously forwarded your guys' messages to him so that he knew about it because he was standing right next to me when you guys texted me. But thanks for watching
Listening.
and listening, I guess. Not really watching. There's not even much to watch.
And
but
don't forget to like and subscribe. It really
Yeah.
helps us out.
yeah, and we will see you on the next episode. I'm sure it's next week because everybody's free next week.
Yep.
Yeah, we
So-
will have the Super Bowl recap, whether I'm going to be here crying or celebrating.
Let's
I
hope.
hope it's crying.
Let's hope crying. I want to hear crying. Tears of sadness. But we'll see you guys next time on the Four Corners Podcast.
Right on.